So if you've been anywhere online where people are talking about AI lately, you've probably noticed they just cannot stop talking about Claude Code and Opus 4.5. You can almost feel it in the air, the sense that something has just fundamentally shifted. Okay, let's dive into exactly what is going on here and why it matters so much. And this quote, this right here is the heart of it. That's from David Holtz, the founder of Midjourney. Now, when one of the most successful AI founders in the entire world says something like that, you just know this isn't some tiny, incremental update. No, this is personal, it's profound, and it's a signal that a massive change is underway.
All right, so the first thing to really get your head around is that this isn't just another software patch or a minor feature update. The experts, the people who live and breathe this stuff every single day, feel like a critical threshold has just been crossed. They're calling it an inflection point.
Simon Willison absolutely nails the feeling here. An inflection point is that moment when an AI model gets just a little bit better, but that tiny improvement is enough to tip it over this invisible capability line, and then, boom, suddenly it can solve a whole new class of much, much harder problems. And that's the threshold we've all just watched it cross.
And look, this isn't just one person's opinion. It's a whole chorus of agreement from some of the most proficient AI users on the planet. You've got OpenAI's president, Greg Brockman, influential builders like Theo, writers like Dan Schipper. The consensus is clear. We've stepped into a brand new era. Okay, so we've established this is a huge deal. But the next key thing to understand is that the name Claude Code is, well, it's actually pretty misleading. Its real power goes way, way beyond just writing software. We're starting to see it as more of a generalist agent, something that can perform a huge range of tasks.
So if it's not just for coding, what are people actually doing with this newfound power? Well, the short answer is pretty much everything.
And this just shows the incredible range we're talking about. I mean, on one end of the spectrum, you have someone feeding it raw DNA data from an ancestry test to go hunting for health-related genes. And on the complete other end, you have people just using it to fix their Mac's broken audio settings. It's managing teams, it's handling finances, it's processing years of personal messages. The sheer spectrum of use is just staggering.
And this quote, it really just hits the nail on the head. It's from investor Nitin Katari. We should be thinking of this less as a simple coding tool and more like a Claude Computer. What we're getting is this first glimpse of a general intelligence that can use the tools we already have, our browsers, our files, to do just about any task you can think of.
But a shift this big isn't just about the technology, is it? It has this incredibly powerful psychological impact. It's creating this intense dual experience of, on the one hand, this exhilarating feeling of creation, and on the other, a deep, nagging fear of becoming obsolete.
And this slide just captures that tension perfectly. For Jason Free, the CEO of 30 Signals, it's the pure joy of delegating a task to something that is totally competent. It's an amazing feeling of leverage. But on the flip side, you have developers like Duca who feel like this skill they've spent their entire life honing is becoming a commodity overnight. It's both incredibly empowering and absolutely terrifying all at the same time. Some people are even calling this a software renaissance. And the analogy to the printing press is really powerful here. Think about it. The printing press didn't just make copying books faster. It made the entire job of being a scribe obsolete. And in doing so, it created entirely new worlds of possibility. That's the exciting, almost romantic vision this future is offering.
Okay, but with any vision this grand, it's so important to separate the hype from the reality. So let's get our feet back on the ground for a second. This technology is not magic. It has very real bugs, very real limitations, and we need to have a healthy dose of skepticism about it.
For instance, an OpenAI researcher mentioned that during a poker debugging session, Claude just confidently gave an answer that made zero logical sense. Others point out that, its real value is when you're already an expert who can judge the output. And some of the new uses, while they're cool, are honestly just less efficient than the apps we already have for things like booking flights. So you balance the insane hype with the current reality. What happens next? Where is all of this actually leading? Let's look at the predictions for how this tech is going to actively reshape agents, apps, and maybe the very nature of our jobs.
All right, get ready to hear this term a lot. Agent-native apps. Think of an agent like a super smart assistant. You don't tell it every single step of a task. You just define the outcome you want, in plain English, and the AI agent figures out how to achieve it. Building a new feature in your app suddenly becomes an exercise in writing a good prompt, not writing hundreds of lines of code.
And you can see here, the predicted impact on business is just as dramatic. The thinking goes that massive teams and clunky manual workflows are about to become liabilities. I mean, if an AI agent could do the work of 5 people for a couple $100s a month, why wouldn't you automate? The companies that figure this out first are expected to just completely dominate.
And with all this massive change comes massive opportunity. Investor Greg Eisenberg made this pretty stunning prediction. Claude Code alone will probably create 50,000 new millionaires, maybe even more. The potential for individual creators and entrepreneurs is just mind-bending.
And you might think this would kill platforms like the App Store, but the prediction is actually the exact opposite. We're going to see an explosion, a flood of hyper-specific personal indie software, all built by individuals to solve their own unique problems. Think less about one-size-fits-all apps and more about software that's tailored just for you.
But at the end of the day, what really seems to be driving this entire movement is just a feeling of pure fun and possibility. As McKay Grigley puts it, the immaculate hacker vibes are back. Everything feels new and weird and exciting again, and for the people in the arena, building stuff has just never been this much fun.
And so that's where we are. We're living in this incredible moment where this technology is putting what feels like godlike creation powers into the hands of everyday people. So the only real question left to ask is, what will you build?